Good morning. You know what day it is? Hump day! Mike. So we've been talking about the power of decision and that it comes from the Latin meaning incision, which means to cut off. Once you decide that you're going to accomplish a certain result, then you're cutting off all other options. As I said, Cortez, when he got to the New World, burned his boats. And as a result, his men were motivated. So when you make a decision, you got to burn your boats. So this organization that my wife is running for the marathon in Chicago is the Laurie Children's Hospital, and it started out in the late 1800s and has been a children's hospital since that period of time. And one of the great success stories is a story that we'll post. I'll post the link again, and it's a story that we'll post about a guy who, as a kid, was in the hospital with cancer. And he made a decision that not only was he going to survive cancer, but that he was going to climb Mount Everest. And he did, in fact, beat cancer thanks to the help from all of the physicians and everybody at this particular hospital. And he climbed Mount Everest, and there's a picture of him holding a banner for this hospital. He did it to raise money for the hospital, holding a banner with the hospital's name at the top of Mount Everest. You know, when you're going through a really difficult time, having a goal, something to look forward to that's a challenge, is a great way to help you focus as you're going through that particular goal. I told you guys that anybody that donates $50 or more, I'll give you a 30-minute free coaching session plus prep material. And if we raise over $1,500, I'll do a free seminar, 2 to 3 hour seminar. We'll do it on a Saturday, or we'll pick a day, maybe a Sunday. But I think the topic that we'll talk about is surviving crisis. How to not only survive, but thrive through a crisis. It's really the outline to the book that I'm writing, if I ever get it done. It's really the outline to that particular book. And one of the things that I've come up with in that, and I think is true, is when you're going through a tough time, have something to look forward to. And that's what this guy did. When he was sitting there as a kid, had severe cancer, he decided, I'm not only going to beat this, but I'm going to raise money for this hospital. And ultimately, the Laurie family, it's now called the Laurie Children's Hospital because the Laurie family donated $100 million to this hospital in order to grow it because of what they did for a family member for them. So, I mean, at the time, I think the hospital had like 35 beds, and now it can take care of hundreds of kids. You know, the Ronald McDonald homes are amazing. And if you've ever had a family member or somebody that you know that's been taken care of by those, I mean, they don't just take care of the person, they take care of the entire family. And this particular hospital does the same thing. So this guy is laying there with cancer as a kid and decides, I'm going to beat it and I'm going to raise money for this hospital. And there you go. Well, if you read Viktor Frankl's book, As a Man Thinketh, which talks about his survival of Auschwitz, it's a similar process. The reason that the people that survived did is because they had a reason to survive, is Viktor Frankl's conclusion, that they made a decision that they were going to get out of there. And they had a big enough why. They didn't know how, but they had a big enough why as to why they were going to do it. And the people that came out of that horrible situation had a motive. They had a reason, and that's what they focused on every day was, I have to get out of here because I got to find my brother, because I got to find my sister, because I have to tell people about this event, and people have to know about what happened here. Whatever their reason was, when they had that beacon to look at, it guided them through. And whatever crisis you might be going through, and if you're not going through one now, don't worry, one's coming along, right? Because if you're not in a crisis now, it won't be long and you will be. That's kind of how life works. When you have something to look forward to, if you're working towards something, it gets you to change your focus. Remember all the times that we talked about the triad. It gets you to change your focus. So instead of focusing on what's not going right in your life right now, you can focus on where you want to go. And that'll make you align everything else, especially if it's a physical challenge. When you have to put together a physical challenge, it forces you to organize everything else. Because you have to organize your time, you have to organize your food, you have to organize everything around that physical challenge. That's why half marathons, 5Ks, marathons, triathlons, whatever it is, are so great, because it forces you to get everything else in line. In order to prepare for those things, you got to have all that other stuff. You can't go around and exercise once in a while and when it's convenient and eat whatever food is available. You're never going to make it. So you got to exercise no matter what. You got to organize your day around that, and your food's got to be right no matter what. You got to organize your day around that, and it forces you to organize everything else. So as you're in a crisis, figuring out a goal and then your why for that goal is a great way to get you through it. So I'll post the link again after I post this video. I encourage you to take a look at it. It's a great worthwhile charity. They do amazing things. And we'll also post the story about the guy that climbed Mount Everest. That's, I did a marathon. I didn't do it in any type of record time, but I did it. But climbing Mount Everest, wow. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment. That is not for the faint of heart. And he did that as a cancer survivor and raised money. Pretty cool. So whatever you're going through, find a beacon to look at and focus on that and not what's not going right in your life. Robin, great to see you this morning. That's new. My great Uncle Bill and Valerie and Mr. Lampy, always great. And Ingrid, where are you from? Are you down in Mexico? Thanks so much for hopping on this morning. My pleasure. And Edward, great to see you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm very honored every time people pop on. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.